So you're considering moving to Michigan in 2024, and you've got some questions that you need answered before you make the final decision.
Don't worry, I got you covered in this video. We're gonna be covering everything you need to know about living here in Michigan and get those burning questions answered.
And even cover some things that you're not gonna find on Google.
In this video, we're gonna be covering things like
what's the cost of living?
How's the traffic and public transportation?
What's the job market like?
Is Metro Detroit a safe place to live?
How is the winter weather?
What are the things to do in Metro Detroit?
What and where are the top schools?
What are the property taxes like? Now, I'm just gonna warn you, this is gonna be a very honest video. My partner Juan and I have grown up and lived in Metro Detroit pretty much our whole entire lives. So what you're not gonna find here is any gatekeeping about any of the secrets. But what you will find here are the answers to the burning questions that you do have to help you make that big decision.
If we've never met before, my name is Juan Alcala.
My name is Eric Meldrum. I'm a local real estate agent here in Ann Arbor and Metro Detroit.
We make videos that showcase what it's like to live, eat, work, sleep, and play here in the Metro Detroit area.
We help people just like you move here every single day, and we absolutely love it. So if you are thinking about relocating or making that move here to Michigan, definitely get a hold of us. You got my contact information down in the description. And I've even got my Calendly link down there so we can hop on Zoom and go through the city, and I can guide you every step of the way.
The questions in this video are based upon our interactions that we've had with clients reaching out looking to relocate to the area, also with home sellers, and your comments on the YouTube channel down below. We welcome you to that comment section. Please feel free to ask any questions you may have. You'll find that locals will jump in there and answer those questions for you. Also, we respond to all legitimate questions and comments down there, so don't hesitate to leave us a question.
Now let's take a look at living in Metro Detroit.
One of the biggest questions people always have is, what is the cost of living in Michigan? And that is a great question. And here's what I'll say. It depends on your lifestyle. When it comes to housing and rent, the state of Michigan is actually really affordable. We're less than the national average, but we are higher than the national average in things like grocery and transportation. Utilities seem to be on par with everywhere else, but overall, our cost of living is lower compared to that national average. Now, if you're moving from an area like rural Mississippi, it may be the same depending on what you're trying to accomplish, or significantly higher. There are a lot of different lifestyles in the greater Metro Detroit area, and that is really important to note, because you can buy a home in downtown Detroit for tens of thousands of dollars, literally somewhere in that $30,000 to $50,000 range. Now, it's going to need a lot of work, and it will not be in a great area. I'm just sharing that with you. And you can also spend multi-millions of dollars in properties, areas like Birmingham up to the north, Ann Arbor, Northfield. There's so many beautiful areas if you want to be on the lake. Housing will vary drastically depending on your lifestyle, so just keep that in perspective.
All right, so the next question we're going to take a look at is, how is the traffic and transportation in Metro Detroit? Now, I'm going to give you my short answer, and then I'm going to expand on why I came to that conclusion for both traffic and transportation. Now, short answer is, they're not great. Let's really be honest. Told you from the very get-go, this is an honest video, and they're not great, okay? But here's why. So in Michigan, we really have secretly one season, okay? You would think we have 4 seasons, but there's really one, and that is called construction season, okay? Orange barrel fest everywhere. You're gonna be stuck in traffic no matter what you do, whether it's in rush hour or it's literally just traffic because they can work on the roads whenever they want. Okay, and that's the honest truth. So you're gonna need an app like Waze and something like that to get around so you can avoid traffic congestions. There are shorter routes for things. That's the cool part. If you know your way around, you don't have to take the main roads. You don't have to take the highways. You can get around pretty easily. It might take you a little bit longer, but it's actually better than sitting in traffic. At least you're on the go. So that is traffic. In terms of transportation, not great either. Okay, when Metro Detroit was really being expanded, they never put in a mass transit system like New York or Chicago, where you can catch a train or an underground and get to one side of the city or the next. The closest we have to that is the People Mover, which is kind of an above ground little train. It doesn't even go that far. I mean, it's fun to ride, but you're really contained in a certain loop in downtown Detroit. But getting out of Detroit into one of the metro areas like Novi, Rochester Hills, like anywhere there, you are going to have to rely on a car or a bus that is going to change stops multiple times. Okay, you're going to have to get on and get off. You're going to have to map it out. So in regards to that, I would say the public transportation is still lacking here in Metro Detroit. And there's also the alternatives. You can also get an Uber and Lyft pretty much anywhere in Metro Detroit, so you got that option. But most people rely on cars if you're going to be living here in Michigan. It is a pretty transportation heavy economy here. So you're going to need a car really no matter what, unless you're living literally right next to where you work, or you're in an area that has a good bus system. Like I would say Ann Arbor has a great bus system. Some other cities do too. That one is the one that comes to mind most frequently because a lot of people live there without cars. So if you do have any questions about that, just hit us up in the comments. Be happy to answer them. Next question on our list is, what is the job market like here in Metro Detroit? So one thing's for sure is the Metro Detroit job market is a lot cooler than it used to be in previous years. So we've had some big changes over the course of the last 10 years with companies wanting to move into Metro Detroit and just be part of the buzz that's going on in the city. Now, there's one thing I do know for sure about the job market here in Metro Detroit. It's a lot cooler than it has been in previous years. And that's saying a lot. Some cool companies are coming here. But one of the things that is driving this is the automotive industry. The automotive industry is still king here in Metro Detroit. It's just shifting a little bit. Instead of going for the traditional combustion engine, there's a lot more focus on electric vehicles and self-driving vehicles. And a lot of these companies like GM, Ford, Stellantis, and a lot of the ancillary spinoffs that want to do business with these companies are headquartered right here in Metro Detroit. So it's bringing a lot more tech jobs. It's bringing a lot more software engineers. It's bringing a lot more mechanical engineers. It's bringing so many different avenues that Detroit has not seen previously, where you would have to go to Silicon Valley or somewhere out west to get some of these software jobs, and now a lot more software jobs are transferring into Michigan, primarily for the cost of living. Number one, living in Silicon Valley, I know I've done previous videos on this. It's astronomical compared to living in Michigan, and some of the pay is really comparable. So you have that shift of software and technology coming into downtown Detroit and the Ann Arbor area. Now, in addition to the automotive world and tech jobs that we have coming to Michigan, we're also very big in healthcare. With Ann Arbor having 3 healthcare systems and Metro Detroit having countless healthcare systems, including Detroit Medical Center, Henry Ford Hospital, Ascension, and Ann Arbor's U of M Hospital. Those are the big flagship healthcare systems here. And then there's tons of satellite offices and satellite hospitals that do special procedures and things that spin out of this. So the healthcare system is a very large employer here in Metro Detroit, and not just for doctors. Think about all the staff that come along with running a hospital. You have the executive staff, you have nurses, you have administrative staff. So there's tons of positions at any level in the healthcare system for anybody who's looking to get into healthcare as a profession. So we see a lot of that relocating here for those hospitals. And some of those hospital systems are even specialized in certain recovery or certain treatments for diagnosis that may be a little bit rare. I know Ann Arbor has a great children's hospital, and that's at the U of M, healthcare system, and they do a lot of cancer research out of there. So, for those reasons, we have a lot of people moving to the area just for that. So when it comes to the job market, if you got the skills, there's a ton of opportunity for you. I know one of my good friends actually moved here from Peru as a software engineer. He moved to Michigan, and he's been leading software development for a lot of the startups in the Metro Detroit area. He's bounced around a few times to different self-driving vehicles, electrification of vehicles, and every time we talk, it seems like they're bringing in another handful of people from overseas or another state. Like California has been a big one. Texas has been another big one where they're hiring a lot of software engineers out of, and they're moving to Michigan. So, I'm seeing that migration, and I hear these stories every single day. We've helped literally a lot of those people make that move here just for that reason.
Another great question that people ask is about safety. Is Metro Detroit safe? And I'm going to be honest, this question is going to vary as wildly as home prices do, because there are places in downtown Detroit, in the city of Detroit, where, listen, Those are not nice areas, and they make the news, and we all know why. And I'm just being real with you, right? But there are other areas, you look at Ann Arbor, it's been voted one of the safest cities in America. So you have the complete other end of the spectrum. And while Ann Arbor is not Detroit, you have so many other communities to choose from that rank really high in terms of national safety. Now, here's what I always say. Because I have a real estate license, I can't tell you whether an area is safe or not. Actually, right? I could lose my license for that. However, there are crime statistic maps that are extremely helpful. We're gonna link one down below that we love. And what we always tell our clients who are considering relocating to the area is check your city out. Look at what's happening in your city, because this is a national database. If there's a crime and it's recorded, it will show up on this database. And oftentimes we think that where we live is safer or it doesn't have any crime. And then when you look at those maps, you discover pretty quickly that there's things going on that you weren't aware of. So what I always tell people is to start with that. So you have an understanding of what it's like where you live, because you know how you feel where you live. And I think that's important to note. And then the areas that you're looking at relocating to, check those areas also. And now you'll be able to get a sense of, okay, statistically speaking, how does it look and feel, right? You can go look at the rankings all day, but that is one of the best ways to figure it out. But these highly desired suburbs, they're that way for a reason. People don't desire things that aren't secure and safe naturally, right? Can we be fooled? Yes, people are people. But when it comes to safety, do your homework, do your research, because what I'm comfortable living in or around, statistically speaking, may be entirely different from you. So make sure you do your diligence here, because we can't give you an answer, but we really want to help you get to the information so you can make a qualified decision.
So the next question we're going to take a look at is, how bad are the winters here in Michigan? Now, I'm just getting back from Florida where it was sunny and 80 every single day. The one thing I will tell you about winters here in Michigan is towards the end of winter, everybody just wants it to be over. Okay, it starts getting a little bit warmer out. You might have some days where it's like 70, and then the next day it goes down to 40 again. So you have these wild swings in temperatures. That's why you can never predict the weather here in Michigan. You just never know. You either have a jacket in your car or have a full on snowsuit ready to go for the next day. Could be 80 one day, could be 0 degrees the next day. It's a little extreme, but you get my point. But here's what I will say about the winters here in Michigan and how bad they are. It just depends. Okay, it just depends on the season. Like this past winter, we had a very mild winter. Okay, I maybe shoveled my snow in my driveway 2 times. Other than that, light dustings, melted before noon. Once when the sun comes out, you're good to go. Okay. Other than that, pro tips on, coming to a place that has winter, make sure you got a good vehicle to drive in the snow. I would suggest a 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive vehicle. You can still get by with front-wheel drive, but, I drove those growing up. Those are always the cars I see, in the ditch, or they slid into somebody, or they just slid off the road when it was icy or snowy. 4-wheel drive is by far the most superior if you can do it. In terms of gear, okay, make sure you got a good winter coat. Make sure you got good gloves, good hat, and good boots. Okay, don't be coming from California and thinking you can get away with walking in the snow in your tennis shoes. You're going to get them wet, your feet are going to be freezing, and it's not going to end well. Trust me, for that. So gear, good vehicle, and you will be fine. You will make it through, okay? And there's always those people who forget how to drive first time it snows, but there's a lot of positives about this, okay? If you're somebody who loves the outdoors and you enjoy the snow, there's endless possibilities. Skiing, snowboarding, snowmobiling, ice fishing, you name it, okay? That all exists here in Michigan, and specifically in Metro Detroit. We got tons of lakes if you like doing that stuff. And you can head to northern Michigan, snowmobiling, you can rent them up there, and it's actually a really fun time. It can be a good weekend getaway, go snowmobiling through the trails, stop at some of the lodges up there, just make a weekend of it. So here's my last pro tip for you on the winter. When we go out looking for houses, I insist, get yourself a garage to park in. And make sure your car has remote start. You'll thank me later.
Now, when it comes to what are the best things to do around Metro Detroit, this is where I don't know where to start, y'all. I mean, I grew up here. I spent my entire life here, and I've done and experienced so many things, and when people ask, I always ask, what is your ideal lifestyle? Rather than me telling you what are the cool things to do, I'm gonna share, right? But the real question is, what is your ideal lifestyle? Are you a skier? Are you a snowboarder, right? Are you a water baby? Do you love the lakes? Do you have a boat? Do you have a jet ski? Are you a runner? Are you a biker? I mean, we have 4 seasons here. The falls and the springs are incredible along with our summers. There's so many different things to do. You can take your family to downtown Detroit, experience everything that's going on down there. I love to take the family down to Campus Martius for the tree lighting. You got ice skating down there, and that's in the winter. That's one thing. During the summers, we love to hit the lakes, go kayaking on the rivers. I mean, there's just so many different things. One of our favorite concert venues is the Fillmore. There's also Pine Knob, which is a great outdoor venue. If you want to head up to the northern suburbs, there's all the state parks up there. The metro parks are some of the absolute best with trails and just lots of things to do. Kensington Metro Park, we've spent a lot of time out there with our family. Listen, y'all, I could wax poetic, and we're only talking about Metro Detroit. We're not even sharing with you any of the great things that you can do around the state. Mackinac Island, Lake Michigan, Traverse City. There's so many different things to do when you are a resident of this state. You are absolutely going to love it. It is a dream, especially for an outdoor enthusiast. You cannot be disappointed when you move to Michigan.
So the next question up is, what are the top schools in Metro Detroit? So quick disclaimer about schools before I get into it. There's only so much I can say as a real estate professional about schools and whether they're good or not. I'm going to put a link to all the school rankings down below. We look at niche.com and greatschools.org. Those are the 2 primary resources that I would suggest you look at as a parent to check out schools, look at rankings. You can get reviews from other people who have sent their kids there or maybe decided not to send their kids there for a certain reason. So definitely check those out. All right, so let me give you the scoop on some of the top rated schools here in the Ann Arbor and Metro Detroit area. Now, Ann Arbor always ranks A+ on niche.com, greatschools.org. It's just a really highly sought after public school system. And then you got cities like Troy, you got cities like Rochester Hills, Novi. Those are all great school systems. Birmingham always tops the list, and you also have Northville and Dexter, Saline, Brighton, Milford. Those are all very highly sought after areas. Now, in addition to that, when you look at great school systems, you also look at lifestyle, and all the cities that I just mentioned are all very high income earning areas. So you can kind of put the 2 and 2 together. There's a direct correlation with the school systems and those rankings, so you can have a look for yourself. Again, niche.com, greatschools.org, but those tend to be some of the higher ranked school systems. There's a ton of other great ones too. Okay, when it comes to rankings, I was just talking to another client, the other day, and it becomes semantics. They were like, "Is South Lyon good?" And I was like, well, it depends on what you're ranking it compared to. If you're ranking it to Ann Arbor, Brighton, Dexter, Saline, yeah, it's just a little bit of a step down. Like if you look at the rankings, it's A- compared to an A+. So a lot of times we're splitting hairs in terms of like, is it a great school system? It's just really relative to what you're comparing it to. And some of these school systems that are B's in the area might as well be A's in other areas. But again, do your research through niche.com, greatschools.org. They're just fantastic resources to get a little bit more in depth on the school systems. Next question up is, what are the property taxes like in Michigan? Now, property taxes are one of those things that can vary from city to city, but on average, if you're looking in Southeast Michigan, you could expect to pay anywhere from 1.3 to 1.5% of your home value for property taxes. Now that can get a little bit higher. In the city of Detroit, for example, you can find property taxes on some of the houses as high as 2.8% of your property value. Now, you're not going to find that in every city. I know Ann Arbor has higher taxes, Birmingham has higher taxes, and it's all relative. If your home is in the downtown area, you're subject to a higher tax. If you're in a lake community, you might have a premium lake tax. So really just relative to where you're living. But on average, you could expect anywhere from 1.3 to 1.5. And then I would probably nudge you up a little bit higher to about the 1.8 mark on most residential neighborhood subdivisions. And then don't forget about all the amenities that do come with those property taxes. Okay, so when you look at the property taxes, ask yourself, what am I getting for the property taxes? Do I have good civil services? Are the police responsive? Are the fire responsive? Is the city clean, right? All of those things do matter, okay? You're paying for those in your property taxes, so you wanna know what you're getting. All right, so we covered a lot of ground in this video. Those are the most frequently asked questions about living in and moving to Michigan. So hopefully you guys found a ton of value in this video and got a little bit more clear on whether Michigan and Southeast Michigan here in Metro Detroit is a good fit for you and your lifestyle. If you'd like to discuss any of these topics further, feel free to reach out. Again, my contact information is in the description below. And we're getting calls, texts, and emails every single day from people all over the country who are considering making that move to Ann Arbor and Metro Detroit. And my team and I are always happy to help out. And if you do have more questions or there's something we didn't cover in this video that you do want to know about, go ahead and drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're from Michigan and you want to add something to this conversation, letting people know what it's like to live in Michigan or maybe something that they should avoid when moving to Michigan, drop that comment down below as well. We'd love to hear from you. Oh, and by the way, I got 2 more videos on the screen here that will help you learn more about moving to Michigan. Until next time, enjoy.